you talked about how will you, every customer, your customers will be impacted by digital transformation across different markets and different industries, and you will have that strategy which will be executed over, say, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, however long. Nevertheless, how will you look back and know that you've achieved digital transformation for your customers? How will you measure that?
If I look back in 5 years from now or now?
Whether it takes 5, 10, 15, how long it takes to execute your strategy, how will you know you've done it? You look back.
Well, good point. I don't believe there's an end point. Actually, this where one of my guys in technology was, let's say, giving me an eye opener. I made a statement. I have to admit it was wrong, but I made a statement and said, after the invention of the World Wide Web and let's call it the first IT revolution of connecting people, I strongly believe that this was for human mankind the fastest development step ever, because we were maybe after Gutenberg, because it's all about communication and leveraging the know-how which people have in a different way. And the World Wide Web connecting people and the way how it spreads, the speed with which it spreads, is unmatched. And then we were talking about Industry 4.0 and what's happening here. And then the guy said, you know the story about chess, the inventor of chess, who was, you know the story? There was a guy, I think it was an Indian, and he invented chess, and he came to the king and presented this chess game to the king. King was very happy and said, well, you have a wish. This is such a nice game, you can make a wish. And then this guy said, I'm a modest man. Give me 1 rice corn for the first field of the chessboard, double it and double it and double it, and that's my modest wish. King said, it's not only a brilliant mind, it's also a modest guy. And then after calculating 64 cubed or 63 cubed, this is more than the harvest of the whole earth. King was not so happy again. I think the story goes he killed the guy, and here comes my point. And then the person told me, actually, we are sitting in the middle of the chessboard, which means there's a curve which is just about to start. So the biggest changes are in front of us. I believe that this is happening. Taking about the opportunities which we have in terms of still what I was talking about, the processing power. Quantum computing is the next big thing, which would give another lift into processing power at the beginning, maybe for very special tasks, later on maybe for general purposes. The way how we are now connecting devices, which can scale up much faster than connecting people, because we have more devices on the globe, and they're generating data all the time. In contrast to you, while you're sitting here, you don't generate really data, but they're generating data all the time. So there's a huge potential, and it's exponential. So therefore, I don't believe this is an end. We are in the middle of a tremendous change, and we have to shape it. To your question,
is there any gauge that you could use to measure the success of digital transformation?
So to your question, how would I still measure the success, and not at a certain point in time, but how successful are we in implementing it? I think there's one very simple measure. Siemens turnover in the digital space is currently 5.2 billion, 1.2 billion in digital services, 4 billion in software business. That has to grow fast. We said to the capital market that we grow that with double digit, which is above the market. We hopefully do that well, double digit. This is for me one measure that this business, this share of Siemens revenue kicks in a much stronger way. Remember, we are 80 billion company. It's just 5.2 billion out of the 80. So if that share is increasing constantly, then we are on the right track. This is one measure. The second measure is how strong we are able to deploy the technologies we are talking about at our customers. So with how many digital twins are we working in our building technology space? How many of these digital twins do we have in place? Another question would be how much of the let's say work in the sales force of designing a solution every time for a customer with engineering work can we abolish in terms of having a system which takes our digital twins and gives an answer in a first shot. So this would be the soft measure, so to speak. The hard measure is definitely revenue and profit out of that business, obviously. But it's and on the technology side itself, I was asking all our corporate technology field leaders to come up with what is their view on success. How would they measure success in terms of the technology milestones? Is it technology showing up in products? Is it any kind of breakthrough in technologies, whatnot? So this is another way of looking at it too.
Mm-hmm.
Any societal impact?
I mean, if we would grow our business with that, we definitely would create jobs. This is a kind of creating jobs is something which goes along with a prospering and a growing company. So therefore, that's obviously an element which is in there too. Otherwise, we would not be able to cope with the growth which we have.